Hello YouTube, Ben here with another video. I thought I'd try something a bit different for the third one and talk about three fragrances on a theme. So today's theme is going to be gateways. What do I mean by gateways? Well, I'll get into it more when I show you the three that I've picked, but fragrances that, because of the style, or the notes, or what they connote or represent, were the first fragrances in that bracket that opened up the door to me to a whole new avenue of perfumery. So let's get into the first one. It's Bleecker Street from Bond number 9. And the reason this was a gateway for me was, apart from Creed Aventus, this was really one of the first perfumes that got me into niche perfumery. And I know there's a lot of a snobbery in the community about Bond number 9 fragrances being rip-offs of other perfumes, of the quality being poor, smelling synthetic. I think that's probably a discussion for another video. But I remember so Creed Aventus was my first foray into niche. That's really what started me on my fragrance journey. I smelt it on a friend. I said, "You smell great. What's that?" He told me it was Creed Aventus, and then never looked back since. But I remember I was walking around Harrods, and I went over to the Bond concession, and I think the bottles caught my eye, either the shape of the bottles or the colours of the bottles or something, and I got talking with the sales associate, and I sprayed a couple of things on me. I can't remember. I can remember two of the three things that I sprayed when I went home that day. I sprayed something on my neck, and I sprayed something on my left wrist and something on my right wrist. I remember I sprayed New Harlem on one of my wrists, and on the other wrist was Bleecker Street. And I remember I kept sniffing it on the way home and thinking, this is like the best shower gel I've ever smelled. And I was like picking up cucumber, and it smelled fresh and shower jelly to me. I think my nose has come a long way since then, so I don't really have the same opinion about the shower gel thing. But that really, I ended up purchasing a bottle, and that, I think, was one of the important, say what you like about Bond, I think it's one of those houses that for some reason is a comfortable midway between designer and like, true challenging niche. So it served its purpose. It got me further hooked in the fragrance game. I wore it a couple of nights ago when I watched Arsenal versus Moscow in a sports bar, and yep, you get a true blueberry note. I get a tangerine peel accord as well, and then you get green vibes in the dry down, along with I'd say a suede musk. I can't say I've ever smelled a Ralph Lauren purple label for comparison, but I still enjoy it. I think it's a really pleasing scent. So that's number 1. That's my niche gateway fragrance. Gateway fragrance number 2 is, afraid I've only got a decant of this and the next one. This is Portrait of a Lady from Frédéric Malle. And the reason this was a gateway for me was because it made me less self-conscious about quote-unquote women's perfumes. I was aware that rose was one of the key notes in this fragrance, which put me off. And since I've become somewhat of a rose aficionado, enjoy rose in perfumes in all its many forms. I don't think rose in and of itself smells particularly masculine or feminine at all. It's just probably the accompanying notes that can skew it one way or the other. For example, one of the other early rose perfumes that I tried was Xerjoff More Than Words, I think that's from the Join the Club collection, but correct me if I'm wrong. And that's a sort of classic rose oud combo, which I found actually a bit disgusting. But this one, it's got a darkness to it, and I can't say I pick up on the clove that seems to be a popular secondary note for people who get their nose on this, but it kind of eliminated all of my concerns about smelling feminine. I guess the name in itself, Portrait of a Lady, is going to put off a load of alpha males who wouldn't dream of purchasing a perfume with the word lady in it. Although, you know, for more sophisticated people, that might be a bit of a turn on the Henry James reference. But yeah, great perfume. I think it smells very alluring. It's good for colder nights. I'm sorry that my critical appreciation of the note breakdown is a bit limited at this point, but it also opened me up to Frédéric Malle perfumes in general, and I've enjoyed several more since, which I hope to talk about in future videos. Gateway number 3 is Italian Cypress from Tom Ford. Now, the reason this was a gateway for me is that it got me over the hump of appreciating what originally to my nose would smell like an old man type cologne. It's got that kind of, you know, it reminded me of grandparents, of my grandpa, something that he'd put on when he was performing his ablutions in the toilet in the morning. I remember I think I had a half day at work and I was in the afternoon, and I stopped off and sprayed this at the Tom Ford counter and then came into work, and I was almost embarrassed. I kept sort of clandestinely sniffing my wrist to check whether it was strong enough and whether anyone was going to smell me smelling like an old man. And you often hear fragrance reviewers saying, you know, come back to this, you know, I hated this, and then I like, you know, always keep retrying, retrying, resniffing, retesting. And I would absolutely 100% back anyone who says that, because I don't know what happened, but I came back to this and absolutely loved it. I think it smells sophisticated. I think it smells classy. The combination of cypress and mint and that kind of whole woodsy vibe is brilliant. I remember talking to some friends, and we were talking about Johnny Walker Black Label, and they referred to it as table whiskey because they imagined what it tasted like, what a table tasted like. And I'd say this is like table cologne. It's like what a really nice like oak coffee table would smell like. If I know that may only make sense to myself, but it smells like it's mega classy. It's good for work if you want to impress, if you've got a meeting or an interview or something like that. And since sniffing that, I've gone on to more sort of traditional masculine cologne, sort of elderly masculine colognes like Guerlain Derby, another current favourite of mine. So those are my 3 gateway fragrances. I hope to be back soon with another video. Thanks. Bye.